Knight's metal tie-in Dawnbreaker. I think that's how it goes. I don't even know what this event is. I think it's metal is like the main series of the Dark Knight's event, but I don't really know. So now this video is going to be about Dawnbreaker. It's going to have this on the title and it's going to have this on the thumbnail, but it's not really about this. It's actually about the whole metal event thus far. Now, as best as I understand it, like I said, this is the metal main series, and these are the one-shots that sort of go along with it, and then you have like mainline series that are tying into this as well. So I'll give you my sort of history with this event. When the precursor issues, which was the Forge and the Casting, came out, I was getting excited for it, and then finally #1 issue dropped, and I immediately kind of started to get worried. It's like you see Mongol here, and Mongol is like, even though Mongol is as strong as Superman, and he's acting like a complete goofball who's not a serious threat. It's these like gladiatorial things that are the main threat, even though Mongol could potentially take on the whole Justice League all by himself. So, and then Batman saves them, of course. He's the one that figures it out. And then, because Batman is just good at everything, I guess. And then we get that. And then they come back to Earth, and Challenger Mountain just appears in the middle of Gotham City, presumably killing, like, at least tens of thousands of people, probably millions of people. And they don't really dwell on it that much. And then there's a lot of exposition. I don't mind the exposition, actually, because I found it interesting. But it was just, like, really weird. Oh, and then Red Tornado. I forgot that. Jeez. It's been a while since I've read this. And then Batman's riding a dinosaur. It's like, that should be cool, but it just feels kind of try-hard. Although then Dream shows up, and I got excited again. So, I wasn't too big on this one. And then this one, like, I thought it was a little bit better, like these scenes with Batman and Superman, where it shows just how much they know each other. See, it's not really Superman, or it's not really Batman, it's Clayface. But we're just seeing Batman, and he's just good at everything again, because he's always just good at everything. And then this happens, and you have a literal Bat God. Like, Bat God is sort of a joke about how Batman is, like I said, just good at everything and always, like, 15 steps ahead of everybody, and he just seems like he's prepared for every scenario. But now you have a literal Bat God, and he has like these Bat minions that are all Justice League members. And I'm like, really? What is going? And then Superman and Wonder Woman apparently die. It's like, what is going on? I don't get it. And I honestly, this was the first tie-in, and I only picked it up because of the cover, because it's shiny. Is that petty and stupid? Yes. But their little marketing scheme worked. And then I read it. So it mentions in The Forge and the Casting, and maybe these books too, it mentions that this is going to be about the dark multiverse. And when they said that, I thought they were bringing back the negative universe from the old multiverse, where that was where the Anti-Monitor was from, that was where Quard was from, that was where Sinestro got his yellow power ring from originally. So I thought they were bringing that back. It even shows one of the old Anti-Monitor towers from Crisis on Infinite Earths. And we see that this one opens up just like Crisis on Infinite Earths. You've got the Earths collapsing on each other. You've got the red skies. That was a big part of that. So we find out what the dark multiverse is. And what it is really cool. So here we see Batman for the first time. He has all of the weapons of Flash's enemies. And it turns out that the dark multiverse is... The dark multiverse is analogous to dark matter in the real world. It's like, what do we know about dark matter? We know that it has the same mass and structure as regular matter. We can't see it. We can't really measure it. We don't know how to find it. We don't know how to harness it. We just know that it's there. It's necessary in order to make a lot of physics equations work. And it accounts for apparently at least 80% of all of the matter in the universe, and maybe a lot more than that. So just like that, the dark multiverse is every single time your hero, your favorite hero, whomever they were, every time they were tested, every time they were given like a real clear moral choice between doing the right thing and doing the wrong thing, every time you've seen them, they've almost always done the right thing. And that's where you get the mainline universe. But the dark multiverse is all of the times when they chose the wrong thing. Right? Batman has done a lot of morally questionable things in the past. Right? Even in this series, you see him hiding things from people, you see him running away from accountability. There was the Tower of Babel storyline where it turned out he had a contingency plan to take down every Justice League member. There was a time when he tried to kill the KG Beast. So there's all these like times when he's done things that were morally gray. But what happens when he does something that's outright evil? Like, all the morally gray things were things that were arguably justifiable within Batman's worldview. It's like Batman is a combination of light and dark, and he likes to operate in the dark, so that means he's not always going to do things that are popular. But when he just simply lusts after power in order to try to quote-unquote make the world safe, but really just take his frustrations out on the world, and he steals the Flash's power using his Batmobile as a modified cosmic treadmill to tap into the Speed Force, becoming the Red Death, becoming a hybrid of Batman and the Flash, what happens? So you see Batman just slaughtering all of his enemies, Scarecrow, Riddler, Penguin, and then because Batman has done something that is just so far outside Batman's moral code, the universe itself is literally crumbling around them, and this hybrid between Flash and Batman would have perished along with it, except that this guy, who is apparently Batman Joker, he is the servant of this dude, Barbados, and he has gotten all these guys together to try to essentially take over what seems like the positive universe. So they don't explain exactly why Batman doing this causes his whole universe to break apart, but in JLA Earth 2, which was by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely, that's when the Justice League of America goes into an alternate universe and meets the Crime Syndicate of America. So you have Earth 1, which is where the Justice League is, and Earth 2, where the Crime Syndicate is. And in Earth 1, it's explained that the moral membrane, like the very fabric of that universe, was good. And in the Crime Syndicate Earth, the moral membrane was bad. So, because in Earth 1, the Justice League are the paragons of virtue and goodness, then as long as they stay true to that, they can never be beaten in a world that has a morally good, essentially default setting. And likewise, in Earth 2, the Crime Syndicate, as long as they are 100% corrupt and greedy, they can never be beaten in their world. So I don't know if they're specifically referencing that story, but it seems to me that if Batman was to completely break his moral paragon status, then that universe would just simply cease to be. Think about every single issue where Batman was faced between doing something good and doing something evil. You always see him choose good, but every issue where he chose evil instead went into this dark multiverse. So, in these three tie-ins, you see him lusting. Here he gives into his desire for power. Here he gives into his desire to have a family at any cost. And here he gives into his desire for vengeance. Here we see what happened to Batman, and in Earth -44, all of Batman's rogues somehow found out about Batman's secret identity, or at the very least that Bruce Wayne somehow knows Batman. They don't explain it. It's not important. And so they torture Alfred and end up killing. So Batman, he just can't deal with the fact that Alfred is dead. So what he does is he creates an Alfred AI, but the AI goes haywire and starts eliminating any possible threat to Batman, and of course ends up killing all of the Batman rogues. And then, because Batman misses Alfred so much, Batman just simply lets Alfred into his suit systems and computer systems, and basically just allows the corrupt AI to corrupt him. So now, whatever else he does, he'll never be away from Alfred. And it's almost kind of sweet, except that he apparently eliminates his entire world. And then he comes to the mainline universe. So here we see that Batman's desire to have a family, no matter what the cost, is his downfall. And finally, in this one, this is the one that just came out yesterday. Here we see what happens if Batman becomes so consumed by revenge. And this one, the story is a little bit wonkier because it's dependent on some things that don't make as much sense. Like, why is it that this Green Lantern ring just happens to be around? Like, what happened to the protector of Sector 2814, Edmund Sur? It's kind of weird that it would choose Bruce this time where it didn't choose him before in the mainline universe. So there's some like weird things with that. But if you can get beyond it, we see, 10-year-old Bruce Wayne, his parents are dead, he gets a Green Lantern ring, he tracks down Joe Chill, and this is a little weird too. The willpower, he's able to push the power output beyond what it's supposed to, and he ends up tapping into the dark multiverse. So he ends up creating these constructs that aren't actually like made out of light, even though they seem like it. And so he becomes Gotham's ruthless protector, where this is a reference to a famous cover. I think it might be Green Lantern's first appearance, actually. But instead of, kind of happy, fun adventure, he just flat out breaks Scarecrow's neck here. And kills Penguin, just like in the Red Death. He just kills all of his foes without remorse, without pity. Ends up killing Gordon because Gordon has the audacity to question him. Kills the Green Lantern Corps because they have the audacity to question him. And then finally he just takes his place as the Dawnbreaker. Now it's not 100% clear how old he is, because it doesn't seem like he's much older. It seems like he's much younger than Batman. It seems like he's actually should be a teenager. And then once again, this Batman Joker character, and you can see Red Death and Murder Machine, and so he recruits Dawnbreaker into it. And then, because these constructs aren't technically made out of light, they're actually made out of darkness, they just look green, the real Green Lantern isn't able to combat him, and would have been killed were it not for the intervention of Dr. Fate. But it's still not enough to prevent Dawnbreaker from apparently taking over Coast City. So this was, for one thing, these tie-ins have been immensely more enjoyable so far than the Metal series proper. That may change as this thing goes on, but right now, these have done a lot more to shed light on what the actual story of Metal is, because the mainline series is a little bit short on details in that regard. Another thing that sort of inspired this video is I saw last week when this one came out, the Drunk Comics Podcasters guy tweeted out, it was a tweet making fun of us, and he was talking about, oh, how dare the SJWs turn Batman into a villain, or something like that. I don't remember the exact tweet. It was supposed to be making fun of us. Here's the thing, right? So this was done by art was done by Ethan Van Sciver. Ethan Van Sciver is one of the few comics pros who has openly come out fairly in favor of us, but he at the very least he supports us more openly than anybody else does. Ethan Van Sciver, I think, is also a Republican, or at the very least he's not a progressive SJW type, and is openly proud of that fact. And part of the reason that he's able to do that is because Ethan Van Sciver is easily top 1% in the industry right now. Maybe top 1% of all time. I remember, like, before knowing anything about him, because of this Twitter drama, reading the Sinestro Corps War and reading Blackest Night, and just being blown away by the art. And all of these are made at a very high level. The art is really good. The writing is really solid. It's really, really good. For the Drunks Comics podcasters to not get that it's like, I mean, I haven't read Iceman number 6, and I'm not going to. This came out the same week as Iceman number 6. Right? Apparently, that comic is absolute garbage tier, trash, bottom of the barrel stuff. And this is on the stands the same week as that. So to compare what SJW Marvel is doing to what DC is doing is just not at all fair. And it really shows ignorance on their part of what people like me, people like what Doug Ernst and Englentine and Captain Cummings, Diversity in Comics, like what we're really saying. It's like, if Marvel did stuff like this all the time, we would not have any problem with it. You can compare it to Secret Empire, but Secret Empire, for one thing, this is an alternate universe. In Secret Empire, they made it very, very clear for a very long time that Secret Empire was the real Captain America. And in fact, it was only very recently that they changed their tune on that, oh, actually it was just the Cosmic Cube making a mistake the whole time. I mean, at least commit to it. Jeez. Like I said, my interest was starting to wane a little bit with the main series, and these tie-ins have really, really increased my enthusiasm for it. I really am looking forward to next week, when I think Dawnbreaker... I'm not going to read this. Yeah, Metal number 3 comes out next week, and then 2 more tie-ins after that. So I'm really looking forward to those. In any case, tell me what you thought. Tell me if you thought the same thing. Tell me what you think of Metal. Tell me if if it was as initially confusing to you as it was to me. In any case, this is Unranked Chevron signing off.